We are at a turning point in the Hungarian economy. Now we have an opportunity to break away from the unfavourable trend of recent decades and become a leader in the region once again, though it needs a period of consistent economic policy. This was one of the conclusions of the 10th Hungarian Business Leaders Forum Financial Summit. In the first half of the event, government experts expressed their views. First, President of the HBLF, Borbála Czókó, called Minister of National Development, Tamás Felegi, to the podium. In his presentation, Mr. Felegi said that trust in the Hungarian market is beginning to return, as Hungary will belong to a group of very rare countries, one that can simultaneously meet three important financial targets. These are repayment of the IMF EU loan, reduction of the debt rate, and reduction of the deficit to below 3%. The next speaker was Constitutional Judge István Stumpf, who has been attending the HBLF conferences since the very beginning. In his presentation, he said that the decisions of the Constitutional Court in the field of economic constitutional law have greatly contributed to the strengthening of the market economy over the past decade, and that the new constitution will continue this trend. The conference then proceeded with a discussion involving international experts. Among the participants, State Secretary of the Ministry of National Economy, András Kármán, emphasized the improved competitiveness of the Hungarian labour market, and he identified the high rate of taxation of labour as the main hindrance to development of small and medium-sized enterprises. The Sale-Kálmán plan should be implemented, but it involves significant risks, and some of its details should be better elaborated, as investors are curious about actual implementation of the programme, said Irina Evashchenko, head of the IMF representative office in Hungary. Next month, in the centre of the market's attention, will be whether and to what extent the measures announced by the government will be implemented, added Raffaella Tenconi, an analyst from the Bank of America Merrill Lynch. Pascal Diana, an expert from Morgan Stanley, sees positive things in the equilibrium trends, but believes that the situation with the debt rate is not so good. Timothy Ash, analyst of the Royal Bank of Scotland, underlined that he has not met such an ambitious plan in any country in the region in comparison with that in Hungary. Although the tools are painful and radical, he sees an opportunity for them to give a boost to the economy. After a coffee break, the British, US, Australian and Canadian ambassadors to Hungary had a discussion with Borbála Czókó on the situation of the economy from the perspective of the biggest foreign investor countries. After a light lunch, discussion resumed about economic growth and competitiveness in Europe, with the participation of Árpád Kovács, Tamás Mellár, István Zsoldos and László Parag. László Parag, president of the Hungarian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, called the attention of the audience to the fact that the parallel trends in the Hungarian and German economies have begun to diverge over the past few years, and the Hungarian economy has begun to lag, and if this trend remains, the country may drift towards the periphery. He believes that there will also be a major challenge as to how the Hungarian economy will link into global economic recovery. Árpád Kovács, professor of Szeged University of Sciences, former president of the State Audit Office and president of the Hungarian Economic Council, said that one cannot live on austerity measures alone. Reasonable jobs should be created, and the question is whether the middle class will be strengthened or fall behind. István Zsoldos, chief economist of MOL, believes that the crisis is not yet over. There are many positive aspects in the Sale-Kálmán plan, but there are also many problems from a 5 to 10-year perspective. A consensus should be found as to what society and business expect from regulation. A legal system and legal stability are essential in business life, he said. Tamás Mellár, professor of Pécs University of Sciences, says that a new agreement should be made with multinational companies at the level of Hungarian suppliers expected by the government, so that they can adjust to these needs. SMEs should be strengthened and public work programs are also required, these being reintroduced into the labour market for those who have not worked for 10 or 15 years. After this lively discussion, Borbala Toko asked Lajos Bokros and Péter Ákos Bod to give the two closing presentations. In his lecture, Lajos Bokros, professor of the Central European University, highlighted the fact that Hungary is no longer necessarily mentioned as a member of the Visegrad Group, but increasingly as one belonging to the Balkans. He presented timeline charts starting from 1900, demonstrating how Hungary's high level of indebtedness has evolved. In respect of external indebtedness, he believes that the biggest problem is of incoming resources, which have not been spent on increasing capital investment, but mostly on consumption. So companies have had less money for development and long-term investment projects. Péter Ákos Bod, former head of the National Bank of Hungary and professor at Corvinus University, said in his presentation that we should get used to the fact that the economic trend will be rising, but that it will keep fluttering. It is not a good sign that the structural indicators in the Hungarian economy are poor. The 10th Hungarian Business Leaders Forum Financial Summit concluded with the slicing of the anniversary cake. Hopefully, all participants agreed, at least on the high quality of the marzipan.